Hey guys, this is Smirnov for the Fast Lane Car, and I'm behind the wheel of the 2016 Cadillac CT6, and this is everything you ever wanted to know about the new flagship for Cadillac coming up next. So we're in the 3-liter twin turbo here.
Yes.
I was gonna put my foot down just a little.
You can go for it. Put all 404 horsepower right down. You've got your all-wheel drive, you've got your active rear steer, you can go. So what you're feeling here is you can, as you can get into some more of these twisties, you can really push the car, and the car tracks on the road beautifully. It reacts to your steering inputs in a very precise way. You can turn and accelerate out of these twisties in such a way that the car feels a lot more dynamic than maybe it deserves to be given its size. So this was the aim, and the more you can push this car through here, obviously very safe and legal.
Very safe.
The better you'll experience the stiffness and the structure that the chassis is reacting to here on the vehicle.
CT6 has an all-new architecture, and at its core is mass efficiency. And the design brief for the car was design a car that looked as agile and athletic as the architecture promises. So to do that, it all starts with proportion, obviously. And the architecture is a rear-wheel drive vehicle with long dash axle, big wheels with a low wide stance. And that's really key. The key fundamentals to make the car look agile and athletic. The other thing I want to point out is on the front of the vehicle, over the fender here, we have done everything in our power to push the hood and the fender as low as possible relative to the top of the tire. And what that does is it artificially creates a proportion where the wheels look larger than they actually are. And that's very critical to making the car have a planted stance on the road and look athletic. The other thing to note is a very short front overhang as well. Our Cadillac lamps here have been pushed as far rearward and as close to the tire as possible, creating the lack of a corner on the car, if you will. If you look at the car in the rear 3/4, actually the tires are the things that stick the furthest out and the furthest forward. And really what that does is it gives the car almost the stance of the car's ready to take off.
I'm in the back seat. I've got Wi-Fi, and I can look at the screen and see the map and control the radio and everything else. I got plenty of legroom. Nice place to be here.
This particular portion here is called the rear longitudinal rail. It's made out of a high pressure die cast aluminum, and you'll notice here through this tight meshing through here, it allows us to balance some of the imperatives in the car, some of the incompatible trade-offs like stiffness, mass, and geometry. So if I talk specifically about it, you can maybe zoom in here. This is a front cradle mount here. There's a rear cradle mount to the backside. And then what you'll notice about this casting, it has these very tight mesh construction directly above the cradle mount. That's an area where you need a lot of stiffness and a lot of structure into the car. But then at the same time, and the same thing here on top of the front cradle mount, but then in areas where you don't need it, you'll notice that these meshings become larger, and they allow for the part to be optimized between stiffness where you need it, mass reduction where you need it, all within one part. The active rear steer works as part of that active chassis,
Okay.
and then it works such that if you are driving at low speed will go out of phase on our steering. The rear wheels will go at 3.5 degrees, and then at high speed, as we're going through some of these twisties, you'd be into the higher speed elements where we would be in phase, and we'd be up like 2.75 degrees in phase. It just helps the car translate across the road the way we want it to go. Now MR, you mentioned before, we have different calibrations in our MR suspension. So if you're driving in the tour mode, this is calibrated to optimize the ride of the car to create the most luxurious experience that you can have from a ride quality point of view. But we also have our tour mode, our sports mode, and as you go into sports mode, several things occur in the car. The MR suspension is one of those. We then move the car into a unique calibration that drives more athletic in nature. It drives more dynamically. It will hug the car to the road and react better out of these corners, and deliver a more spirited driving experience.
Obviously the car is a large sedan, so we, in an effort to make the car look lightweight, we used a lot of tricks around the car to do that. On the front of the car, specifically the grille and the low hood, the aspect ratio of the grille is more wide than it is tall. And what's important about that is it creates this illusion of visual width, and it plants the car down low to the ground. It looks like the car can handle curves better. It just makes the car overall look more athletic. In terms of lighting on the car, we use a technology called indirect fire LEDs, and what that enabled us to do is, on our low beam graphic here that you see right here, the design team was able to actually shape the lamp. And what's important about that is, obviously we still have our vertical signature that is distinctly Cadillac, and that in the daytime you'll know from a distance that it is a Cadillac. And at nighttime as well, you'll know it is a Cadillac because we have the vertical element. Now that we've been able to actually shape this element, at night you'll know it's a CT6. And that's something that's new, that's capable with this technology. Another interesting fact on the front of the car is one of the detail elements with this bright trim here below the grillette is it is inspired by our 1956 Coupe de Ville.
There's the base model, which is a 2-liter turbo rear-wheel drive. Correct. And that's around $54,000.
$53,495 is the starting point for the 2-liter rear-wheel drive car. And then it moves up by $2,000 to a 3.6-liter all-wheel drive system, and then after that you move up into a 3-liter twin turbo. And the price, depending on your options, can move up from there. I think that's in at something like 64, I think.
And I believe the other car I drove earlier, the price was around $83,000.
Yeah, that would be the fully loaded Platinum.
Right.
So Platinum comes without any options. It's got everything we have on the vehicle. It has all the features, all of the performance, and all of the technology that's available.
And when is this car going to be available?
This car will be in dealerships on the 1st of March.
Okay, so that's really soon.
Yeah, right around the corner.
All right. Oh, I see the mirror is working. So
yes, that's right.
Showing us the digital view behind the car.
Yep.
The new CT6 is full of technology. It represents a new way of making cars, combining different lightweight materials. And also, it sits somewhere in between competition. It's bigger than a 5 Series BMW. It's about the size of a 7 Series. However, its starting price is around $54,000. So it combines some of the features of bigger luxury sports sedans and a lower entry point. It's also rear-wheel drive sedan, and it's pretty dynamic. I'm on a mountain road in Southern California, and I'm in sport mode, and moving this big sedan through the mountains is easy. It stays flat in the corners and there's plenty of brake. This is a twin turbo 3-liter V6, 404 horsepower, and this engine doesn't care if I'm going uphill. It pulls really strong.
There is a driver mode where we focus all 34 speakers and eliminate the compromises that we typically would find and give that driver the best experience possible. There is a rear seat mode where we emphasize the rear seat performance. Feel this is going to be excellent in the China market or a chauffeur type environment. And finally, we have our center point surround sound mode. So that's a simulated surround sound from a 2-channel input where we're trying to create a great sense of envelopment for all 4 occupants. This shows all of the different locations, all 34 speakers in the 19 different locations throughout the vehicle. So as you might imagine, we spoke with, there's space boxes underneath the front floor. We have 4 doors. We have A-pillar tweeters as well as rear door tweeters in articulated array. So there's a pair of speakers that are angled in different locations to optimize the sound.
It's a rear-wheel drive performance car. It also comes in all-wheel drive, but it's fundamentally a rear-wheel drive platform, setup, proportion and architecture.
And it's available with 3 engines?
Yeah, it's got 3 engines. There's a brand new 3-litre twin turbo. It's 404 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque, all delivered at 2,500 RPM. That's a unique Cadillac engine, all new. We also have a 3.6-litre naturally aspirated. This engine's 335 horsepower, 284 foot-pounds of torque. And then we have a great engine, a very well integrated 2-litre turbo, it's 265 horsepower, and that delivers torque at 3,000 RPM.
Awesome. And all 8 speeds, right?
All engines come standard with a brand new 8-speed transmission, specifically designed for improved shift speed. Adds about 1.5% fuel economy improvement. It's that's standard with all Cadillac CT6.
My first impression is a very positive one. I think Cadillac did a good job with this sedan.
BMW 5 Series, been there. Audi A6, done that. Mercedes-Benz E-Class, it's been around a long time. Are you bored of the traditional European mid-sized luxury sedans? Well, if so, Jaguar has an answer for you, and it's this, the 2nd generation Jaguar XF. And guess what? We're going to take it for a ride and see if Jaguar can give the other Europeans a little run for their money.